Hello, everyone, and welcome to my live stream. So I called an audible today. I was going to live stream at 8 o'clock this evening. I decided I'm going to go ahead and change it up a little bit. My daughter's actually laying down for her nap. My wife's not here. I've got time, so I figured I'd do my live streaming now. So if you were just watching, you'll notice that I kind of kicked this live stream off with the intro to the TV show Transformers Animated. Why did I do that? I was thinking back about this series and really more the toys in particular. If you remember back to the TF Wire days, prior to that cartoon actually coming out, we saw a number of different toy leaks. There were a number of toys that were going up for auction on eBay. And I was actually able I was one of the people who was actually able to nab one of those toys. There was a pre-release prior to the launch of the cartoon, prior to the launch of the toy line, and that figure happened to have been Transformers Animated Starscream. And I absolutely love that figure. I believe my review is still up on YouTube, so if you're interested in that, you can check it out. But I became very interested in that toy line, although I did not collect the entire thing. I think the last figure I bought from that toy line, if I remember correctly, is Grimlock, perhaps? I want to say it was Grimlock. In any case, I have a almost 2.5-year-old daughter, and she just randomly started making what sounded like the Transformers transforming sound. I'm not going to call it convert sound. I don't know why Hasbro calls it convert as opposed to transform. But maybe someone copyrighted that? Trademarked that? I don't know. In any case, she started making this what sounded like this transforming sound. So I'm like, what Transformers series could she watch? Just to kind of see if that's what it was. Her and I have watched a couple episodes of G1, but that was many months ago, and we've not really watched anything since. And I don't know where she would have heard the transforming sound from. So I started thinking about, well, I could show her Rescue Bots. But I didn't know specifically. I'd never seen that series, and I didn't know if that had that transforming sound in there. Or I take that back. I've seen clips of the series. I've not sat down and watched an entire episode. So I was thinking about Transformers Animated because I know that they use the transforming sound in that. So we've got Roku devices here for our media devices. So I was able to search on there for Transformers Animated, and it came up in one of the many apps that we've got installed on that, and we were able to watch it for free. It was ad supported, so we had to sit through, I think, 1.5 minutes of ads before we were able to get to the cartoon. But then the intro kicked in, and that's kind of what I just played here to kind of welcome you here into my live stream. And I started watching the first episode, and I'm like, I completely forgot that Transformers Animated was a direct follow-up sequel to G1. And what do I mean by that? Well, the series itself kicks off with actual footage from the G1 cartoon in there. And come to find out, it's Optimus Prime in Transformers Animated watching what is, quote-unquote, the history of the Transformers. And as you can see, when you're watching it, that it's actual clips from the G1 cartoon. And then he addresses Ironhide in the cartoon, and I had also completely forgotten that Ironhide was the G1 version of Ironhide in that cartoon. So now I'm really interested in going back, and I'm wanting to watch this show. So it just kind of stirred up some memories of the toys, And I know I had originally and initially started watching the show. I know we talked about the show when we were doing TF Wire, and I recall enjoying it. I just don't remember ever watching the entire series, or if I did, I can't recall much of anything about the series. Um, so yeah, so that's why I kind of kicked that off with that. I was very interested in, like I said, kind of reliving some of that experience. Anyways, to circle back with my daughter, the G1 sound, transforming sound they used in that cartoon, and when they transformed in the cartoon, she heard that and she made that noise again. So the noise that she's been making is the Transformers transforming sound. I just have no idea where she picked it up, unless, like I said, months ago, when we were watching the few episodes of the G1 series that we did, and she just remembers it, I guess. I've been trying to go through the G1 series, and because I don't know that I've ever watched, and I think I've said this before, I don't know that I've ever watched the entire series. So I was born in '81. The series came on in '84, so I would have only been 3. But I know I've seen season 1 and 2 religiously, or watched it religiously when I was a kid. So it must have been in reruns at that point. I know it was on at 4 o'clock, I want to say, when I was growing up, and during the week, 5 days a week. So, in any case, like I said, I don't know that I've ever seen the entire series all the way through. I know I've seen season 1, season 2, but season 3, I don't really remember much of those episodes at all, or the story kind of post-movie. I remember in my teens, when cable's been out for, I think, since the 80s or so. My family never had cable. Where we grew up, cable just didn't run down our road. We lived on a dirt road, off from a paved road, and because it was a because it was a dirt road, none of the cable companies wanted to go down there. Even now, my parents can't get high-speed internet unless it's like DSL. We didn't grow up with cable in the house. At some point in the mid '90s, we got satellite TV, but at that point we didn't have. I don't think the Sci-Fi Network was part of the package that we had for channels, and Transformers was showing on the Sci-Fi Network at that point. My grandma, however, my mom's mom, did have cable TV, and her package included the Sci-Fi Network. And I remember recording a number of season 3 episodes, including the return of Optimus Prime, from her cable. But I don't. There's like a large swath of episodes that I do not recall at all. The only thing I know or remember about season 3 is that the animation took a dive. Not to say that season 1 and season 2's animation was all that great, but I believe that they switched animation studios at that point, and you can clearly tell that there's a difference between the quality of animation. So that's why I kind of kicked off my live stream with Transformers Animated. Like I said, it just kind of had me thinking about where my daughter would have picked up the transforming sound that she's making now. And then it got me thinking about the toys that I've purchased, and it got me thinking about watching the show again. So I'm very interested in doing that. So now that I've rambled on here to kind of kick this off, so what am I going to be doing here with this live stream? So again, I wanted to focus on Transformers here in this particular live stream. Because there's a large amount of news that has been coming out about the new Transformers movie. So I kind of wanted to just give my thoughts and feedback on that. But then I've also got a few other stories here that I want to talk about. But let's go ahead and jump into some Transformers movie news. So the Transformers, I guess this is the 7th movie. The title for the 7th movie has been announced, and it is, as you can see here on TFW, it's Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Its release date will be June 24th of next year, that is 2022. And the movie supposedly will be taking place in the year 1994. Now, if you recall from the Bumblebee movie, let me see here. Yeah, if you recall from the Bumblebee movie, that took place in the early 90s as well. So, hold on a second here. Let me modify this real quick. Okay, I'm going to put myself up here in the top corner. There we go. All right, I was looking at the live stream here, and I'm like, oh, my face is covered up by my face? Yeah, I've got a emoji face on there for my channel, and I had to move it there. So let me come back out of here. Okay, I think that'll work right there. Okay, I like that better. Now you can actually see me. That's what I was aiming for. All right, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers for this movie, which again does not come out until next year, you might want to tune out right now, because I'm going to go ahead and read some information that's here on the TFW post. So they're noting this information here was covering a special announcement event by Paramount Pictures. So there's a bunch of stuff on here that it doesn't really matter that I'm not going to talk about, but kind of just diving down into this. So as you can see here, the story continues the 2018 Bumblebee movie, which again, this is set in 1994. There's still no word yet on whether or not Bumblebee is in the same universe as the 5 Bayverse movies. We're still kind of waiting for confirmation of that, and I don't know if we're going to get that, but yeah, we're just kind of it might be a completely different timeline and entirely different universe, which would be okay with me, but I think there's some information in here that's going to be pulling in some characters which have kind of been touched on prior. So I guess I don't know for sure that that's the case, that it's going to be a brand new timeline, but I guess we'll have to watch this movie to find out. So okay, so anyways, going back in here to the potential spoilers. So again, if you don't want to know any of this, you might want to tune out right now. Okay, I've given you fair warning here. So the movie's going to be featuring a couple of different factions. So we know the Autobots are going to be in there, but we also know, and we know that because of Bumblebee, obviously, and then Optimus Prime that we saw at the end of Bumblebee. But we're going to be seeing the Maximals and the Predacons. And according to the TFW article here, it says they will be prominently featured in the movie. And we'll also be seeing another faction called the Terrorcons. This says Predacons and Terrorcons are not allies. Terrorcons are the main baddies. Predacons are reptilian in nature and are the enemies of the Maximals. Meanwhile, Terrorcons are a threat to them all, but more in opposition to the Autobots. So I guess that doesn't specifically state that we're going to be seeing Decepticons at all. I see no mention of that. So it sounds like Autobots, Terrorcons, Maximals, and Predacons. Unless Terrorcons are a subfaction of the Decepticons. I guess, again, we'll have to wait and see. So this presentation also talked about some characters we're going to see here in the movie. And the first one, obviously, is Optimus Prime, which, you know, makes sense because he was in the Bumblebee movie. This says that Optimus is the lead character, and his alt mode is an upgraded version of the G1 look from the Bumblebee movie. So if you think back to the end of the Bumblebee movie, we did see a G1-esque semi-truck that represented Optimus Prime. He also had a trailer there that looked reminiscent of the G1 Optimus Prime trailer. I'm not quite sure what an upgraded version of the G1 look from Bumblebee looks like, or what that would mean. There has been some spy photos of what was presumably a Optimus Prime truck that was on its way to Canada, and that was confirmed to actually be the Optimus Prime vehicle, and that looked like a flat-nosed semi-truck. So one can presume that that's what that was, or that that's what this Optimus Prime is going to be, kind of throughout the movie. But I don't know what an upgraded version of the G1 look would be. This goes on to say, think B-movie Earth mode with a gray torso, gray windshield flaps, and gray upper shoulder parts that lead into the smokestacks. It says Peter Cullen will once again resume his voice acting duties. This will show how Optimus becomes the leader he was in Bay movies. Why does he have a connection to Earth and humans? That was really bad note taking, but I presume that means why it's going to show that he already has a connection to Earth and humans. Now this says this will show how Optimus becomes the leader he was in the Bay movies. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's a direct connection to the Bayverse. I don't know that we can take that for granted from this, but I think we'll see him become a leader in this. That's kind of what I'm taking from that. This also says, so Bumblebee is going to be a classic Camaro with off-road extensions, second gen 70s Camaro, raised Z28 badging, external framing, chunky wheels, light bar on top, a la Ratchet from the first Bayverse movie. If I could talk, we will then see Mirage, who is going to be a silver and blue Porsche 911. This says this characterization is similar to Age of Extinction Crosshairs. I don't even know what that character is, to be honest with you. Age of Extinction Crosshairs? Yeah, I got nothing. I don't really remember much about that movie, honestly. It says Anti-Authority can transform into multiple types of vehicles. So he's a multi-changer, although we don't know how many it says. I'm not sure if they were talking his history in Brand or actually in the movie. It says RC, who will also be in the movies. Robot mode is close to G1 and is a Ducati 916 motorcycle. Red with rose, pink, and white highlights. The classic head, Ducati bike, racing number on leg. So that'll be interesting. I think we saw RC at the beginning of Bumblebee, if I remember correctly, on Cybertron. Which, by the way, that's the opening to Bumblebee should be how all of the Transformer movies should be. So I'm very interested in seeing kind of, now that we've got more robots in this particular movie, kind of how that will play out and how that will look. I wish this would take place on Cybertron. I wish we would get an extension of what we saw at the beginning of the Bumblebee movie, but we'll kind of have to wait and see how this plays out. Nightbird is included as a Nissan GTR. She is also a Terrorcon. Purplish gray in color, she is a modernized version of the G1 character of the same name. Face mask with robot-looking head. Switch sides, allegiances are flexible, so that'll be interesting. Scourge. Scourge is the leader of the Terrorcons and is a trophy hunter, like Lockdown from Age of Extinction. Again, I don't remember the Lockdown character at all from Age of Extinction. When he kills, he rips the faction insignias and quote-unquote tattoos them into his body. 4 smokestacks on back, all smoking, claw hand with electricity, black gray tone, and orange pops. Not black convoy looking, but probably a truck due to smokestacks in art. So not black convoy looking. That's interesting. So I really wish he would have more of a black convoy look. So black convoy is probably my favorite version of Optimus Prime. I know it's not Optimus Prime. It's a repaint of an Optimus Prime toy. But in terms of taking an Optimus Prime mold and doing something completely different with it, the Black Convoy concept is just absolutely phenomenal. In the Robots in Disguise line that we had here in the U.S., Black Convoy was called Scourge. So that's kind of what made me think of the Black Convoy here. But this says that not like Black Convoy, but probably still a truck. Yeah, I'm curious to see kind of how that plays out then, because I would really kind of just going off from that name, I'd be very interested in seeing. Although in the last Bayverse movie we had Nemesis Prime, which has also been another name for Scourge / Black Convoy. So yeah, I guess we'll see. But I really like that the look of the Black Convoy, that Scourge black Optimus Prime head. So I'm curious to kind of see what this character will ultimately look like. So next up we have Air Razor, who is a robotic bird. It says rusty bird mode, steampunk-esque. Silhouette is very real-world bird, but plated, layered, looks old, been here a bit, blue glowing eyes. So one of the things as we're kind of getting into these animals now, one of the things I'm interested in knowing about is, so all of the Transformer characters that we have in the movies now, looking at Bumblebee, looking at the Bayverse movies, they've all been of equivalent size to whatever their alt modes are, right? So, Optimus Prime is a large semi-truck. Bumblebee is a Camaro, and when he transforms, it's logical that the height that he is kind of what that Camaro would be if you turned it into a robot. But with something like Air Razor, right, it says Air Razor is a robotic bird. Birds can be large, yes, but when I think of the name Air Razor, that sounds like a really small bird to me. So I'm very curious to know if we're going to have like these tiny Transformers, if there's going to be any shape shifting, not shape shifting, if there's going to be any mass shifting going on, or if this is just going to be a very large bird. If it is a very large bird, it seems like it would have a hard time actually, being hidden, being that robot in disguise. I don't know. I guess we'll have to. That'll be another one we've got to wait and see on. So moving on, the next one here is a Rhinox. It says, well, no introduction. Also very rhino-shaped, plated. Also steampunk and rusty, ironhide-like. Wants to use his horn. Again, looks old, like old metal. Been here a bit. This says, fans have seen Optimus Primal before. Remember I'm going to say this is The Last Night? CGI concept art, yep, but with much more fur. He's the leader of the Maximals and is very protective of those who are under his protection. You don't mess with Primal. Rusty underframe, looks like random patches of skin and fur layered on top. Like he's been through some stuff. He's leader of Maximals, equal in stature to Prime. And then we go on from there to, some human characters that I don't really care about. This goes on to say, can't answer if Beast Wars voice actors will be back. Lots of smiles, hopefully with an exclamation point. A lot of characters we haven't even seen yet. All the Maximals are hard to bring to screen. Rhinox wants to smash, but also a brain of operations. How to actually try to disguise themselves. Yeah, see, that's kind of the thing that I was thinking of, especially with Nightbird. So they're going to be shooting in Peru for 6 weeks, and they're also going to be shooting in Canada. This says this is a spectacle story, big action movie with deeper character story style from the B movie, combining the two. Key was it's not a small budget film. This is summer blockbuster level stuff. Whereas I would argue that the Bumblebee movie was more of a lower key. It was definitely a smaller budget, especially after coming off from the Last Night movie, and it really not doing as well as what everyone was hoping for. But the Bumblebee movie did do pretty well. So I'm glad to see that they're kind of going back to the summer blockbuster type story. I'm also glad that there's been a rather large gap of time. I guess I don't know when Bumblebee came out specifically, but again, that was a lower budget film. But I am happy to see that there's a larger swath of time that's kind of taken place between these films. Again, I don't know if these are going to tie into the Bayverse movies. I guess we will eventually find out. If they do, and I wouldn't mind them tying into the Bayverse movies, to be honest with you. I would really like to kind of see where things go with Unicron, or the Unicron concept or idea that we saw at the end of The Last Night, and kind of explore that a little bit, and kind of see where that goes. But yeah, so I know there's probably a lot more news regarding Transformers: Rise of the Beasts out there, but this is kind of what I just wanted to touch on. I'm kind of very, I'm very interested in kind of seeing where this is going to go, story-wise. I also want to see, I mean, this sounds like we're going to see a bunch of Transformers on the screen, possibly even more than what we've seen in the past. And again, there's no mention of Decepticons here, just the mention of the Terrorcons, but I don't know that we won't see the Decepticons. Again, if some of the characters that we're seeing here mentioned, so RC, for example, I don't remember if Mirage was on Cybertron at the beginning of Bumblebee or not, but RC was for sure. I don't know if we're going to see more of those characters from Bumblebee, and if we do, well, obviously the Decepticons were at the beginning of Bumblebee as well, and I don't presume they've gone anywhere, so I'm very curious to kind of see how they play into the overall story here, so... Yeah, so that's just kind of what I wanted to touch on here regarding the upcoming Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. So the second thing I wanted to touch on here, also talking about a Transformers movie, is Transformers the movie, the 4K edition. So if we look over here on Twitter, this is from Livio Ramondelli? However you say his name. I believe he works for IDW. If we go to his illustrator art for Transformers and creator of the Killock for IDW Publishing. So he posted a photo here. I guess this is a photo, just based on the kind of the angle it was taken, as opposed to a screenshot. Here is a photo of what I presume is the title screen for the Transformers the movie, the upcoming 35th anniversary 4K edition. So this was back on June 16th, so just about 11 days ago as of recording this. He said, I got to watch the new 35th anniversary 4K Transformers the movie yesterday during the final technical approval session. It looks stunning. Glows and energy effects are especially incredible. Level of detail never seen before. And then, like I said, he included this picture here. And I gotta say, if this is, this is a still image, so I don't know. But if this is all we get for just like the menu screen, the title screen, whatever you want to call it, and there's like no animation or anything here, that's pretty lame if you ask me. Especially for something that's, we're dubbing the 35th anniversary edition. I mean, the artwork looks nice. I presume maybe there's like the Transformers theme playing in the background. But this is, I don't know, this does not look all that great to me, right? And then where's the title of the movie? It's like right here, this tiny little thing, right? And the text for this is actually smaller than the text for the menu, which is kind of odd, but that it is what it is. So we scroll down here. He also included some additional photographs. So again, these aren't screenshots; these are photographs from the movie. So this one is when Unicron is reformatting some of the Decepticons. And here's a picture of Megatron when he is fighting Optimus Prime on Autobot City. So, I mean, you can't really tell, right? We're not going to get the 4K look and feel from these photographs. And you're certainly not going to get it from the photographs via a stream. But, yeah, so there are some images here. Let's see, moving on. This person from, let's see, at Movie Geek asks, are any new deleted scenes in the bonus features? And Livio, I guess I don't know how to say his name, sorry. He says there's a brand new feature-length storyboard that covers the entire movie with alternate and deleted scenes. Let's see. I thought there was some additional information here. I know it includes... let's see. I know it includes the commentary that's been on a previous release. As well as some others, but I don't recall what it was. It doesn't, at least it doesn't say it here. So, but if we hop on over to Amazon, I believe we get a breakdown here. So if we look, let me scroll down. Keep scrolling. So here's our bonus content here, right? So it says new 4K transfer of original film elements. It says new feature-length storyboards, which is what we just saw there on Twitter, including deleted, alternate, and extended sequences. New Fathom Events 30th Anniversary featurette, including Stan Bush's acoustic performances of The Touch and Dare, which, before we go on to the rest of these, by the way, so my wife and I attended the Fathom Events 30th Anniversary presentation of this. Like, we actually saw the movie in the theater. We didn't see any of this shit. Right, this Stan Bush's acoustic performances. We were supposed to get a poster, which we never got either. Apparently, this was a thing. This Stan Bush performance, which we never saw. The only thing we got out of it was the free. I don't remember what the toy size is called anymore. But we got these really cheap-looking, really tiny Transformers, and they weren't even from, they weren't even G1 characters. They were from either the Bumblebee movie or they were from The Last Night, I think. They might have been The Last Night. In any case, they had nothing to do with the Transformers the movie, and they were just like little toys that you just flip little pieces around. I mean, they were even more basic than this. This is a Grimlock that my daughter got me for Christmas or my birthday. One of those two. But it was a lot more simple, or a lot simpler than what this thing is. And we both my wife and I got rid of ours. So, so I'm really interested in seeing this Stan Bush acoustic performance. Because again, we did not get to see this during our Fathom event. It says it also includes the Till All Are One, a comprehensive documentary looking back at the Transformers, the movie with members of the cast and crew. So that does not say new. So that was one of the things that had been included on a previous release. We're also getting the audio commentary with director, story consultants, and then excuse me, Susan Blue. We're getting archival featurettes, which includes the death of Optimus Prime, the casting characters, and Transformers Q&A, original theatrical trailers, and then TV spots. So again, none of that stuff from here down says new, so I'm going to presume all of that was on previous releases. I don't know if all of that is on releases that I own. I want to say I have the 20th anniversary DVD or the 25th anniversary DVD, one of those two, or maybe both. But in any case, yeah, I don't. There's a lot of this information or content that I've not actually seen. So I've got the Amazon page pulled up here, not just to show you this information, but if you're interested in pre-ordering this, and if I scroll up, you'll see that I actually did. It's currently listed here as $21.99. It's actually down from the $29.98 that it was. So this has actually gone on sale prior to even being released. And if you had pre-ordered prior to the sale date, or maybe it's just the new price that they're listing it as, you actually will get it for the cheaper price here. This doesn't ship until August 3rd, it says. And here's a look at this is the limited edition steelbook version. Here's the front, and then here is a picture of the back. So yeah, so as you can see, I pre-ordered this on June 17th, so that was about 10 days ago as of today. And I'm really looking forward to watching this. Again, I want to see how the 4K version looks compared to the 1080p version that I already own. As I'm looking over here, I just finished setting up my home theater down here in my basement. That's where I'm at currently. I've got a 4K TV down here, a 65-inch. So I don't have a projector, but it's a 65-inch 4K TV. I've got a UHD DVD player. It's a Sony, and then I just set up my Dolby Atmos 5.1.2 system as well. So I don't see anywhere on here where it says. Oh no, I take that back. It's right here. So English DTS HD master. So it's not Dolby Atmos, but I'm interested in seeing how the this 5.1 mix sounds. So once I get that, I'll give it a go and let everyone know kind of how it looks, how it sounds, and I'll give you my review on it. So. All right, so the last story, quote-unquote story thing that I wanted to mention, and the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I've not actually seen this mentioned on any of the Transformers sites anywhere. This isn't specifically a Transformers-related, or a Transformers-specific story, I should say, but it does feature some Transformers content. And that is this Win Place Home. What is Win Place Home? So I'm on the winplacehome.org website here. And as you can see, it says right here on their homepage, retraining former racehorses as functioning members of new disciplines to help find them future forever homes where they will prosper. So essentially, workplace home. If I go to, is it down here maybe? In the footer? Let me scroll down. Perhaps on contact. Okay, yeah. So I wanted to show you. So they're based here in Beverly Hills, California. So they're based here in Beverly Hills, California, and they essentially rescue former racehorses and figure out, and find them forever homes, give them purpose, and what remainder of life they've got left. So I'm not a big proponent of saving racehorses, meaning it's not something that I normally seek out to do. But let me pull up my other tab here. This is a auction site, and this is the Win Place Home auction that was held 2 weeks ago. Now I want to say a week and a half ago, something like that. In any case, I did not know anything about Win Place Home prior to this auction that they had. And I guess let me back up for a second. When I said I'm not a big proponent of saving racehorses, what I meant was it's not something that I normally seek out to do or to help with. I'm a big fan of what these people do and what animal rescue people do, just in general. But again, this isn't. I don't have any affiliation with horse racing other than I watch the Triple Crown on TV. But I don't go to racehorsing in person. I don't know anyone who owns racehorses. I don't know any trainers. I don't know any jockeys. So this isn't something that I normally seek out. But I was on Twitter and I saw a post by David Hayter, who is the voice actor for a number of different things, but more specifically of Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid video game series. And he posted a link to this Win Place Home auction. And I started looking on here, And well, first and foremost, so David Hayter was posting a link to some signed photos that he had for Solid and Liquid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. So we got Cam Clark here, and we got David Hayter up here for Metal Gear Solid. But I started looking on here, and I saw a number. Whoops, let me go back here. I saw a number of different Transformer-related items on here. And if I search, so if I type in Transformers up here, you'll see there's a number of different things on here. And I started looking, I'm like, oh, there's some G1 looking stuff. This is like a signed print. Here's like a signed script. But I was really interested in the G1 type stuff. So I started looking over here, and I'm like, oh, here's a signed photo by Frank Welker. But that's not really G1. And then I saw these Megatron photos here. So this one here is obviously of him, of Megatron with laser beak on his arm. And then here he is fighting Optimus Prime here. So if I click on that guy, click to expand this, which I was hoping it would be a little bit larger here, but it's not. There we go. Make it a little bit larger, I guess. So this is a print of Optimus Prime and Megatron fighting. It says "Peace Through Tyranny," and this is signed by Frank Welker, and in quotes, this is Megatron. So I started bidding on this because I've got the signature of Peter Cullen. I've got that on a Optimus Prime toy. So I've got an Optimus Prime toy who's still sealed in the box, and on the back of the box, I think it's the back of the box, it's got his signature on there. And someone, I don't remember who this was, but one of our former TF Wire listeners, they were attending, it was either it had to have been BotCon or Comic Con. I want to say it was BotCon. Maybe it was Comic Con. I don't know for sure. Anyways, they were attending one of those, and they got that signed for me, and they sent it to me, and I've been forever grateful for that. But I don't recall who did that. So if you out there were the person who got that signed for me, and you're watching this live stream, let me know in the comments so I can thank you again here. I absolutely love that, the Optimus Prime. And like I said, I'm glad that I've got his signature. I've also got Peter Cullen's signature on the Transformers movie poster. I have a signed movie poster from the first movie. It's got a bunch of signatures on there. Peter Cullen's is one of those. But like I said, I've been wanting a Frank Welker signature, and I've got this now. So I actually won this auction. So it was up for, I think it started at $40. It ended at $65, and I won it. I just got this this week. It showed up, and I'm just waiting to get a frame for it to hang it up. But it's an 8x10. Again, original Megatron from Transformers, signed by Frank Welker. But the reason I wanted to show you this is because if we go back to the list here, and I'm going to type Transformers again here just to kind of narrow it down. There's a number of things that didn't actually sell. So if you are interested in any of this, you can come on here and buy it looks like there's 4 items, I guess, that have not sold. So one of those is a Transformers print signed by David K, who, this one happens to be large, happened to have been the voice actor for Transformers animated Optimus Prime. So you can see you got your Optimus Prime there. This is David K as an animated human character here. And this is supposed to, I guess, represent him as like a action figure on a carded back here. But there's a signature here. So this is human Optimus Prime with real lifelike hair, which is kind of funny. But in any case, the auction's over. So because the auction is over, you can now purchase these as buy it now prices, sort of like eBay. So you got to register for this site if you're interested in doing this. It's free to register, and then you can purchase this outright if you want, and it will be the lowest price that's listed here. So in this case, it's $20. I guess I'll just hit the arrow to go to the next one. There's also one here which I'm surprised really didn't sell because he's known for his Beast Wars Megatron voice. But there is a print here, essentially the same thing as what we just saw for the Optimus Prime, except it's Beast Wars Megatron. Looks like it's the original as well as Trend's metal here. And it says, yeah, David K. is Megatron with karate chop action. So again, we've got him over here and his signature. And if we keep going, so this one sold, but here is a signed script from Transformers Animated. It says this is from Three's a Crowd, and it's also signed by David K. So if we click in here to view these pictures, so it says David, Prime and Grimlock. So there's David K's signature, 5:20 record at 2 p.m. And that took place, the first draft was on February 6th of 2008. Revised draft, May 7th, 2008. So if you click in here, you can kind of see some more information. And then the last one here is just a close-up of his signature, which we saw there on the first picture. And I think those were the three that were left. Let me just type that back in just to make sure. Oh, sorry, there were four. Yes, and then the Frank Welker Bayverse Megatron. So Frank Welker was not the original voice of Megatron in the Bayverse movies, but he eventually became the voice of Megatron in the Bayverse movies. So there's also this photo here if you're interested in purchasing that. And that one is at a buy it now price of $40. So let me copy this link here. And we'll go back. So this is, that's going to be terrible. I'm trying to think of the best way to provide this link to you here. If you go to, I guess just try to Google search this. If you go to Win Place Home Auction, let me try that. Win Place Home Auction. Oops, if I can spell auction correctly. Okay, so if you type in Win Place Home Auction on Google, it'll actually be down here at the fifth link here. It says Win Place Home, powered by GiveSmart. That's the link that you want. And that will take you here, and then you can view the items, and you can see what's on there. Now, there's far more things than just Transformers on here, but those were the things that I kind of wanted to show off on here. Again, discussing Transformers on this stream here. But if you're interested in like Ratchet and Clank, there's some signed photos there that haven't been purchased. There are, let's see, there's a Ben 10. There is an Overwatch humidifier. Okay. There's an Overwatch jacket. There's a backpack. There's just a number of different things on here that are still left. Like here's a Batman 1989 figure, Batman Deluxe figure that hasn't been purchased yet. Here's a golf outing. Some shirts, hats. So there's a number of things I haven't purchased yet, but it just seems like an odd hodgepodge of different things. And like I said, I've got this Megatron print and signature now, and I'm just waiting to get a frame to frame it up in. Yeah, so I guess that is it in terms of the specific Transformer topics I wanted to discuss that were newsworthy. But I did have a question I wanted to throw out to everyone. And that question is, what is your favorite Optimus Prime toy? And the reason I'm asking this is, again, it's kind of tied back into getting me thinking about the upcoming Transformers movie. And then again, as I was watching Transformers Animated, we got Optimus Prime there. I just know that the Optimus Prime toys are some of my all-time favorite, and the character is iconic. But when you look at the vast amount of Optimus Prime toys that we've gotten over the years, going all the way back from G1 up until now, I'm very curious to know what people's favorite is. I've thought about this for quite a bit, and when I was talking about the Nemesis Prime or the Scourge toy or the Black Convoy, I said that was my all-time favorite Prime toy, and that's still true. But I'm kind of pushing that off because that figure isn't an Optimus Prime, right? It's the Optimus Prime mold, but it's not the Optimus Prime character. So I guess using the Optimus Prime character as the basis, what is your all-time favorite Optimus Prime toy? If you want to leave your thoughts on that in the comments, I'll hit on it the next time I do a live stream. And again, I'm still trying to figure out the live streaming stuff here, so bear with me as I'm kind of fumbling around with certain things. But for me, my favorite Optimus Prime toy has got to be the Superfire Convoy from the Car Robots line. Or for those of you that have Robots in Disguise or know about Robots in Disguise, it would be the Optimus Prime from that. They're essentially the same, I guess. I think there might be a few color differences between the two, if I remember right. I don't have them in front of me at the moment, so I can't verify that for sure, but I think there are a few color differences for sure. So it's that one, and I also am a really big fan of the Armada toy. Not necessarily the combined version of the Armada toy, but the smaller version. He's kind of bulky, which I like. But I also remember having some decent articulation. And while I absolutely hate the minicons, I think his minicon, which again I don't remember the minicon's name, works really well with him. I'm thinking of the smaller version of the Armada Prime in that case, because his minicon turns into a gun. So scratch that. But I'm still thinking of the leader class Armada Optimus Prime toy. I like him because he's bulky. He's got these big broad shoulders, and I just like the way you can pose it, and I like the gun. So let me pull that up here real quick. So Armada Optimus Prime. Pull up the photos, and I'm trying to find a good photo of, okay, so let me bring this guy up. This is on the TF wiki here, so transition over to here. Alright, so if I click on this guy, I'm going to zoom in here. So this is the figure that I'm talking about here. So I really like the looks of the figure. The problem is it's lacking detail. It's lacking some color. And we've got red, we've got blue, we've got gray, and we've got this gold. And then if I remember correctly, we've got these translucent smokestacks on his hands here. So it's really lacking in color. It's lacking in overall detail, or it's lacking in overall color to bring out that detail. Because if you look here, I mean, there's quite a bit of detail in the upper torso and the upper legs. But it's a great looking figure, and when you combine it, I'm still not a big fan of the entire lower portion of the combined version of this Optimus Prime, because it is what it is there, right? There's like no articulation at all because this is all automated. When you transform the Optimus Prime into the top half, this lower half converts from the base, or converts from the trailer into the lower half of this toy. But overall, I really, really like the looks of this figure. I just wish there was more color in it to kind of bring out that detail and highlight that detail a bit more. And then, like I said, so if we go to Super Fire Convoy, and we'll bring up the photos there. And so this is Fire Convoy, right? Or Optimus Prime in Robots in Disguise. And this looks great as well. It's got a hell of a lot of articulation, and I really like this. The one part that I'm not a huge fan of, though, is his head. I think his head is a little too small for the body. It's got that very anime look to it, but it's like really small, or a little too small compared to the rest of his body. But when you combine him into the larger mode here, let's see if I can get a better picture, for Super Fire Convoy, right? It's just absolutely phenomenal. I don't think there is a better toy than what we're looking at here. And again, I realize my video there is covering it. Let me move it out of the way. There we go. Yeah, so I don't think there's a better toy than this. If I click on this guy, this is pretty hilarious. So we've got all the different variations of him, and I've got this guy. I've got the original. I've got the Robots in Disguise one. But yeah, and then when you combine him with the God Magnus or the Ultra Magnus in Robots in Disguise, right? You get Godfire Convoy, which again looks absolutely phenomenal, but he starts getting very, very top heavy, and it's a bit harder to manage some poses. But I absolutely love the Super Fire Convoy figure. It's great. If you don't have it, and if you don't have Robots in Disguise Optimus Prime, highly recommend seeking those out and picking them up. But all right, so I think that is going to be it here for my live stream today. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about some of the Transformers related news items here that I wanted to cover. Otherwise, yeah, I'm very curious to know what your favorite Optimus Prime toy is. I'm just kind of starting out with this streaming thing, so bear with me. I've got a M1 Mac Mini here that I purchased back in December. I think it was December. November, December. And I've got a dual monitor setup here, so I've got the monitor here that's it's kind of below where my camera's at. I've got a monitor over here that I've been looking at. As you'll notice, as I'm looking and reading certain stuff, I'm not looking at the camera because I'm looking at my secondary monitor over here. And I'm trying to figure out kind of how to move things around and work with OBS here, which is what I'm using for streaming. So I'm still trying to get used to that, but I've done a successful live stream here to my YouTube channel, and I've been able to transition back and forth. See, transition. I can fade to black. Yeah, we've got all that. Like I said, just trying to figure all this out. So, but this live streaming thing. So this is something that I want to start doing more and more of. This isn't going to be a one-off thing. Maybe in the future I'll have guests on here. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But I do want to start doing more of the live streaming thing. I do miss podcasting, and if you go to my YouTube channel, or even, let me bring it up here real quick. So if we go to transition this guy back, before I do that, I guess I gotta move my little video out of the way again. There we go. All right. So if you go to nerdsafaripodcast.com, which is my website, this was a podcast that my wife and I were starting to do, I guess, at the end of 2019, kind of before the pandemic hit. And we started talking about a bunch of nerdy, geeky type topics. My wife is someone who enjoys, or had enjoyed in the past, when she was growing up, reading comics. So she really enjoys watching the Marvel movies. I enjoy watching the Marvel movies. We both less so the WB, the Warner Brothers movies, or the DC films with Warner Brothers. Sorry. Even looking at this, it's kind of funny. So we were talking about news roundup for Release the Snyder Cut. Continues 2 years after the release of Justice League, and that was something we just watched during earlier this year. So, in any case, so this is a podcast that we were starting up, but my wife wasn't a big fan of podcasting. She's not a big fan of being recorded. So this kind of didn't really go past episode 2. I would like to continue doing this, but there's a little bit more work involved with podcasting. So in this instance, we were doing recording from 2 different microphones, and I was mixing it and putting it out there. But that also requires editing, got to upload it and all that. So it's just sort of a pain. Whereas this live stream, I can just hop on. I don't have to do any editing. Will things go wrong? Sure. But I don't care, right? If something goes wrong, fast forward, right? It's on YouTube. Just fast forward through it. I don't care. But I can also more easily incorporate things, right? So if I want to show you a video clip, I can do that. If I want to play an audio clip, I can do that. If this thing starts to take off and I want to have guests on, I can easily incorporate them, through video. I can just have their audio playing. It's something that's not hard to do. So that's kind of what I had in mind here for the live stream. It's just kind of talking about things that are still within the nerdy, geeky realm, and things that I really want to present to you and kind of give you my thoughts and feedback and comments on. So today, that was with Transformers. That seemed like a logical thing to start with. That's what people kind of know me for. That's what people come to my channel for. Even now, right? I haven't put out a review in years. But people still hit me up in the comments asking, like, when are you going to put out a new review? Are you going to be doing new reviews? Actually, no, I take that back. I did do some reviews recently. Quote unquote recently. They were last year. But I was kind of just digging through my bins of toys. And I was just pulling some things out and doing just some funny ass reviews. At least I thought they were funny. And so anyways, yeah, it seems like this live stream thing will be easier, and once I started getting into the flow of doing it, I think it'll be a little bit easier as well. I'll admit I'm rusty right now. I haven't done live streaming or podcasting in quite a while, as you saw, back over here. I haven't released an episode of a podcast in well over a year, almost a year and a half now. It is a year and a half? Yeah, a year and a half. So I'll get back into the swing of things. Just bear with me. If you're wondering, I am in my basement here, and my basement is finished. My wife and I finished it. Did all the work ourselves. We did so we started. Let me back up. My basement here was cinder block, right? I'm in Michigan. Most Michigan basements are either poured concrete or they're made out of cinder block. Mine's an older home, so it was cinder block as opposed to poured walls. So I had to build the framing for the walls here, and that's been done for quite a bit. There's insulation on there, there's framing on the walls. But during the pandemic, that's when we started doing, before the pandemic hit, we put the drywall on. Then the pandemic hit. So that's when I was doing the mudding, the sanding, eventually the painting. And so we got all the walls done, and then we wanted to do the flooring. We wanted to put carpet on here. We've got a daughter, and this is a fairly large area for her to roam around and run around and play around in. But we didn't really know anything about carpet, right? So I've never put carpet down. I grew up working in residential construction, doing houses with my dad. My dad owned a construction company. So again, all through my even preteen years, through my teen years into my 20s, I help my dad in construction, building houses, so I know a lot about building houses and doing things. But we've never, when it comes to kind of the finish work for certain things, never done some of that before. So like the drywall, never done drywall before, but it was easy enough to do. As the mudding job the best? Certainly not. You wouldn't hire me to do your drywall, but for a finished basement, it's good enough for me. But when it came to the flooring or the carpeting, we didn't want anyone in the house during the height of the pandemic. So we actually went out to Reddit, and I found a carpet subreddit, and I found someone who was able to give me enough information on how to do the carpeting that we were able to put the carpeting down ourselves. It's in 3 sections, so there's like, I'm looking like over here, I guess you can kind of see right here, right? There's a little cutout there. We've got exercise equipment back there. So that's like one piece. Behind me is like one long piece going from one end to the other. And then the other area, or the other piece, is kind of at the bottom of the stairs here. So the stairs are like where my finger's at. They come down to this landing area. There's another piece there. So we've got 3 separate pieces of carpet that we had to, use a carpet iron and essentially iron together, glue together. So outside of the seams, so there's a seam there and there's a seam here. Outside of those, because I can still see the seams, and if this was done professionally, you wouldn't see the seams. We did a really good job with the carpet. I'm really happy with how this basement turned out. And the great thing about doing the basement and finishing the basement is that my wife and I have been working from home since March 13th of last year, which is essentially when Michigan, so that's where we live, kind of shut down from the pandemic. And both of us have been working from home since that time. So we've got I got my desk here. It's a standing desk. It's electric, go up and down. My wife's got a standing desk, just like mine, that'll go up and down. We've both got our work setups here, and we've just been working from home since this time. But it's nice to be have this area to be able to do that. and this is sort of a kind of an all-in-one type thing, as you can see. So I'm sitting at my desk. My wife's desk here is next to me. Our home theater is kind of down here at this end of the basement. As I said, the exercise equipment is over there. We've got a Bowflex over there. We've got a spin bike over there. We've got some free weights, exercise ball, mat over there. But then you'll notice behind me here, we've got an arcade. This is the arcade 1-up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade. It's got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and then the Turtles in Time game. I've actually modded this, so it's got way more than that. It still includes those games, but it's got way more than that. So it now has a Raspberry Pi that's running, I think there's like 600 and some games on there, I think is what it is. I obviously haven't played all of them, but that's what's there. And then behind me over here, let me swing back this way. So this guy right here, this is a Murphy bar. You'll notice, maybe you can't really tell what they are in the video here. We've got some like patio lights kind of up here. So my wife and I can have a date night at home at our Murphy bar. So this actually pulls down, and inside there we've got some alcohol. But it pulls down, so we've got a table surface. We've got our bar chairs we can pull up here. And then you'll notice over here let's swing back the other way. We've got some board games here that we can play on there, or that we have played on there. And I've also got a rather large board game collection that's upstairs, so we can bring those down and play those as well. But yeah, it's nice to have something like this, especially during the pandemic. I know things are opening up now, but we're still being super cautious. But it's like I said, it's nice to have something like that so we can kind of relax and enjoy ourselves. But yeah, we spend most of our time down here in this area now, especially during the week, because this is where we're both working. So I only brought that up to mention, or to kind of say, yeah, this is kind of the space that I'm in. So when I'll be doing live streaming, it'll be from this location here. So All right, so again, I think that's all I've got for this live stream. Again, if you have any thoughts or comments or want to share what your favorite Optimus Prime toy is, share them down in the comments below. And if there are enough comments, or I guess if there are any comments that kind of pertain to that topic, I'll bring it up here in my next live stream. With regards to schedule for live stream, I am wanting to do this. I don't want to commit to doing it every weekend, but I will say that I would like to do it potentially every weekend. We'll just have to see how things go. I can say for sure right now it won't be every weekend, but it will be as time allows during the weekends. And I want to shoot for at least 2 times a weekend, 2 times a month. That is. But ideally every weekend. I just know that during the summer it's not going to be every weekend because we'll be taking some vacation time and just won't be around. But ideally I'd like to shoot for every weekend. I used to do live streaming every week prior to excuse me, recording our TF Wire podcast. And there was like a small group of individuals who would hop on with me. We just kind of shoot the shit for an hour or so before we started recording the podcast. So, and they eventually kind of broke off and branched off and did their own podcast and did their own thing. But I kind of want to bring that live streaming thing back and kind of show you, just kind of shoot the shit with all my fans out there, subscribers, whatever you are, people who are interested in hearing what I have to say. So I guess that's it. So I guess I will see you during the next live stream. Bye, everybody.